Today I'm going to be talking about nervous system and what it's like to move abroad and actually heal your nervous system. So let's begin. I'm so glad you're here. If you've not been here before, my name is Cara. My puppy is right here. He might hop up. This is Barnabas. And on this channel, I talk about moving abroad and what it's like to live abroad and heal your nervous system. Iced coffee, delicious. And I can drink coffee again because I've healed my nervous system. In my home country, I noticed that my nervous system was hijacked between the overstimulation that seems like we are bombarded with every day from just visually, if you're driving, from all the billboards and all the signs, and the grocery store is probably one of the most distinct places for me that I notice when I'm abroad and then I come back to the US, to my home country, and have a visit. Whether it's a short time or a long time, the grocery store probably is the most jarring experience for me, and I'll break it down and see if this resonates for you. When you walk into the grocery store, everything is kind of positioned to, obviously it's selling, that's its job, right? But there's also this hyper stimulation. There's usually music, and nothing wrong with music, but there's like a music, there are those lights, there are lots of colors, and especially when you go like to the checkout area, you see like all of these candies and all like both rows, like as you walk to go to the teller to check out. Or even if you're just checking your own groceries out, you have to walk past like two, and they're like eye level, right? So for kids, they're eye level, and for adults, they're eye level. And we're just bombarded with all these like last minute things that you could potentially get. Plus, that's where all the magazines are. And you've got all these magazines are facing you this way, they're facing you this way, they're facing you this way, or they're facing you before you even step into the row, right? So you're like walking by all of the checkouts and you see all these magazines. That's not normal in other countries. The place that I saw this was in the UK, in London. But I'm just saying that that's not normal in other places. And it's the thing that makes me like know that I'm back in America when it's just it's like so overstimulating, and it's excess and it's unnecessary, because it's all just meant to it's just meant to like stimulate and invoke like consumerism. And I guess if you have willpower, myself, I'm not tempted by all the like high fructose corn syrup and all the gossip like magazines, but a lot of people are. A lot of people are in just like maybe a bad mood that day, and they just need a little upper, or they just need a quick fix, or they're fascinated by whatever that story is on the cover. And I'm just presenting that as a very strong thing, because we go to the market or the grocery store all the time, right? I mean, we always need to get food. And that's normal in basically every grocery store in my home country. So that's just one thing. But part of the nervous system is the food is obviously so over processed, and so you have to be so diligent about what you eat and what you don't eat in America. Also, driving is very overstimulating, and you might have been driving since whatever, decades, like myself. I began driving when I was, I don't know, I think I waited until I was like 18 to start driving. But we're conditioned then for us to be in the car and be driving as a cultural norm, right? To get anywhere, to do things, you have to drive, even just to go to the cafe. Most people don't live walking distance to a cafe. And or gym, they want to go work out, or a park. They have to drive to go to just be healthy, to move their bodies, unless they have enough enough discipline to like work out at home. So that is definitely one thing that is very overstimulating. And so you're overstimulated visually, you're overstimulated audibly. For all of the airports, there is music and there's lights and there's again, it's very jarring. You go to many other countries and the airport is just a bit quieter. Like, it's not silent, but it's less stimulating. So from the airport on, you are overwhelmed and your nervous system is kind of hijacked. Not kind of, it is hijacked. And so if you grow up in that environment, you really don't know any different. And your conditioned then, your system is like conditioned to just like be around all this stimulation. So it's wild when you're in another country and you realize, wow, I'm not as overstimulated. And you can seek out things that are overstimulating or that give you stimulation. You can go out to a lively cafe or even a pub or a bar or a restaurant. You can go out to a concert. You can go out to a park and a bunch of activities are going on. You can go to places where there's plenty of activity. Go to the sea, go to the beach, go wherever. But you're just not around the consistent overstimulation. And so for me as well, healing my nervous system, it was hijacked from, I think, high school on, and I was just so overwhelmed and overstimulated. And I wasn't aware of the fact that I was, what one would call more of an introvert, even though I can be very communicative and I can seem very outgoing on camera. I do best in like one-to-one, and I don't like to be around a lot of people all the time. In fact, I prefer my quiet, my solitude. I'm like a classic introvert, and it drains my batteries to be around people or to have like a lot of conversation. I am not one to be into small talk at all. So that's something like parties and that kind of thing, like small talk is just, it's just not for me. And I understand that there are methods to make small talk easier, and it's wonderful to be able to engage someone, to ask someone about themselves, to be a good hostess or to be a good host. So there are ways then to be in those situations that you can make it less awkward or painful. But I just recognize my battery, my physical and emotional battery just drains. And then when I'm quiet and alone, my battery can recharge. And for extroverts, it's usually the opposite. Being quiet, their battery drains. They need, I have a little yawn. It is more in the morning. It is bright and early in the morning. Apparently I'm still a little sleepy, so little yawn. My husband is an extrovert. His batteries definitely get charged by being around people, and that's cool. So just knowing those things about yourself. The other thing is with the nervous system, our food obviously plays a huge role. And when I was trying to heal from like debilitating anxiety and panic attacks that I had, this is going back more than a decade ago, thank goodness. But I had to stop all coffee, all tea, obviously sugar. Like I really had to pare down. I mean, I was consuming like very few things, like very gentle foods and very gentle beverages for basically a year. I remember having I was just desperate. I was desperate to try to figure out like what was going on with my brain. And this is before I was consuming more eggs and beef and lamb and animal fat, which is interesting because I've always eaten good fat since I was in my early 20s. But I didn't realize that there was a brain connection yet. I hadn't actually come across that information yet. And I was still of the idea or philosophy to eat more in the veggie kind of food. So I was getting some nutrients, but I certainly wasn't getting the full range of nutrients yet when I was having all this like debilitating panic attacks. And so this video isn't supposed to be about like my anxiety, my panic attacks, but you might be able to relate is what I'm trying to say. You might notice, gosh, I have panic attacks, or I had that panic attack. I don't want to ever have that again. You might say, yeah, I'm experiencing symptoms of anxiety. And what are some of the basic symptoms of anxiety? Sweaty palms, dry mouth, heart palpitations. And for me, it was like I would get all of those would happen, and I would feel like this out of body experience, and then I would actually feel like I was gonna like go to the bathroom, like have diarrhea. So I would have to like run to the bathroom. Even if I didn't, it was that feeling of like, oh my goodness. So that is debilitating, and that can stop you from doing a lot of things. And I'll speak in the I terminology. It was stopped me from doing a lot of things because I had so much anxiety, and I didn't necessarily associate it with my environment. And I wasn't even in some kind of crazy environment at that time, but I do recognize what is considered normal in America is very overstimulating, and that then played into my anxiety as well. So it was food, it was an environment, it was probably just where I was in life and what I was doing. And looking back, I was desperate to heal. So if you can relate to any of this, if you can relate to noticing that you don't even have to be an introvert to move abroad, but trust me, if you are an introvert, you're going to do very well because you're going to have a lot of time alone to just contemplate. Going to a new grocery store, that's a whole activity when you live abroad because you're looking at everything. It's not overstimulating, but what I'm saying is it's all new, and so you're trying to look at labels or maybe even use a translator, Google Translate, to try to read labels and try to figure out where's the, whatever you're trying to buy. Excuse me. And for me, that's like an exciting activity. And for a lot of people that share that feeling that when you live abroad, it's fun to go grocery shopping. Like that's an activity to do. We go to the village market. My husband goes to the market a lot for us. So that's always so fun because everything is just completely fresh, and that's the majority of what we eat. And I talk about that in other videos. I talk about food a lot because it is such a incredible, wonderful blessing to just have fresh food and that just be a normal part of everyday life. Whereas in America, you have to make this concerted effort to go to a farm or go to one of the more expensive grocery stores that then offer like healthy, like organic and that kind of thing. So that's just normal where we are. And so this is just something to consider and think about. Hopefully this is resonating with you. And if you want more information, go ahead and check out the description box. I'll have some links in there. I usually offer a mini free course that should be in the link below. And I also offer kind of like a clarity call is what I call it, so that we can hop on a call if you're just have some burning questions or you're like need to get some clarity. And go ahead and watch for our mini course. I have a mini course coming out as well. It's actually a 5-week course, and it really helps to just give you a foundation for all the different components about moving abroad that you might have considered or haven't considered yet, but are going to give you a lot of peace of mind for you to help to figure out certain things. So it's a self-paced course, so watch for that. That's coming soon. And If you like this kind of content, stick around and watch some more. And I'll see you in the next video. And bye from the Middle East / Europe region in Turkey. Ciao. Bye.